Give me the argument, the best argument you know, for the power of cinema.
Sup, bro?
What's up, bro?
And welcome, everybody, to Peliculas with the Bros. My name is Adrian.
My name is Ivan.
And we are back with another episode of Peliculas with the Bros. For those of you tuning in for the first time, Peliculas with the Bros is a podcast. It's a show where me and my brother Ivan talk about movies. Each week we do a different movie, a new movie. We've been doing some of the latest movies coming out, like Eternals, Last Night in Soho, Dune. But with some kind of lull that we see in the box office right now with the amount of movies that we really want to talk about, we're going to take it back. We're going to take a step back and talk about a director whose movie's going to come out. And we're going to talk about a couple of his movies, starting with one of them today, ending with another one next week. And then we're going to end up doing his latest movie. We'll talk about that in a bit. But before we get into that, if you're watching for the first time, please hit that subscribe button if you like movies, if you like to listen to people talk about movies, if you like to listen to two losers like us talk about movies. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you're listening to us on podcast platforms, welcome. Thank you for listening to this audio experience. You can follow us on any podcast platform like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. I think Tidal. Does Tidal have podcast capabilities?
Should.
Then we're there. Peliculas with the Bros. Check us out if you haven't on all podcast platforms. But we digress. Ivan, we're back. It's a new week. And we're here to get ready, Ivan. Because one of the great directors of our time is coming out with a new movie. That director is P.T. Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson, and his latest movie, Licorice Pizza, is due to arrive in a couple of weeks from now. So to get ready for that, we're going to do two of the movies that we chose kind of randomly, kind of like what we're interested in. And this week's movie that you picked to discuss is
Magnolia.
Yes. Oh, man, I didn't write what year it came out. Do you know what year it came out?
Nope.
I think it's 99
Probably.
or 2000. But Magnolia, it is Paul Thomas Anderson's second movie, and it's the one we're going to discuss this week. Ivan, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's get into it. The premise of Magnolia, I had a hard time writing this, so I kept it nice and short. The lives of a group of people are interconnected in interesting and odd ways in the San Fernando Valley. Death lurks around the corner for some. Some feel trapped by their life. Ultimately, they are all looking for something to set them free. This is Magnolia. Starring Jeremy Blacken as Stanley Spector, the kid in the movie. Michael Bowen as Rick Spector, his dad. Tom Cruise as Frank Mackey. Jason Robards as Earl Partridge, the estranged father of Frank Mackey. Juliana Moore as Linda Partridge. Philip Seymour Hoffman as Phil Parma. Philip Baker Hall as Jimmy Gator. What a face. Melora Walters as Claudia Wilson Gator. John C. Reilly, a Peliculas with the Bros alum. Check out the past podcast where we talk about Adam McKay movies. And you'll get your healthy dosage of John C. Reilly. What a man. John C. Reilly as Officer Jim Curring. William H. Macy as Quiz Kid Donnie Smith. And Ricky Jay as Burt Ramsey / the narrator in this movie. Do you know who that is?
I think I know.
Which guy is he in the movie?
He's in the movie as a character?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know then.
He's the producer of the show that Gator is on.
Okay.
He's the one like, what's that kid doing? Make him work.
Okay.
He's a narrator in the movie. Ivan, Paul Thomas Anderson. Before we get to Magnolia, his movies. Shall I list them out for you?
If you might.
Boogie Nights.
Mm-hmm.
Magnolia, of course, his second movie. Punch Drunk Love. There Will Be Blood. The Master. Inherent Vice. Phantom Thread. And it's going to be Licorice Pizza as his newest one.
Mm-hmm.
Which of his movies have you watched?
I've seen this one. I've seen Phantom Thread. I've seen some of Boogie Nights. I think that's it.
Is there anything that entices you about Mr. P.T. Anderson?
He does heavy things. Like everything I watched of his is always like, ugh. Like I'm stuffed by midway,
Yeah.
but in the good way. It's just like heavy topics.
Yeah. And out of those movies that you've seen, other than Magnolia, is there one that stands out?
I thought, well, no, that I haven't seen.
No. Other than Magnolia,
Okay.
which of his movies that you've seen stood out, if any? None. Okay. For myself, I've seen Boogie Nights. I just saw Magnolia. I saw Punch Drunk Love beginning of last year. I saw There Will Be Blood.
I've seen that.
Not knowing he made it. That's a good movie. And I haven't seen The Master, Inherent Vice, or Phantom Thread. And this was my first time seeing Magnolia. From his movies, the ones that stand out to me, particularly is Punch Drunk Love.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it was so kind of refreshing. It was just like a easy, it seems like an easy movie for him to make,
Mm-hmm.
but he just does it so well. It's such a simple movie, and it's just good. But the one that I think he gets most acclaim for is There Will Be Blood, right?
Probably that and Boogie Nights.
Right. And There Will Be Blood is like the one that everyone when I say everyone, it's the one that Kanye talks about a lot. He's always like,
Really?
yeah, he's like, there's the movie There Will Be Blood, and in the movie I'm like that guy. So he does a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, the movie's very popular. I think it won Best Picture in the Oscars. And yes, Boogie Nights was a highly acclaimed movie, as well as his other movies like The Master, and Phantom Thread. And this movie. And you were noting that his style of movies is sort of heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here on Peliculas with the Bros, we fashion ourselves aficionados of the film ilk.
Debutantes, if you will.
Debutantes.
Good point.
But TBH, we're not really that. You know? This weekend, I was at a party. I was at a wedding, and my friend was like, "Oh, I haven't seen The Matrix." And I was like, "Well, that's a movie you sort of like, to be part of society, you need to see."
Right.
And then they're like, "Well, what movie have you not seen that you should have seen?" And I'm like, "Well, I feel like I've seen the big ones.
Every movie."
But if I were to name a movie that I should see, that I haven't seen, you'd be like, what movie is that? Because it would be some like Critics' Choice type of movie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the point I'm trying to say is like, there's hundreds of films that I feel like I need to watch as part of like the class, like not like the classic movies as in blockbuster, but classic as in like critically acclaimed.
I would say Titanic. I'm probably never gonna watch that.
Oh, you haven't seen that?
Mm.
You'll watch it. We'll do James Cameron one day.
I'll pass.
It's really good.
I already know how it ends.
I mean, you could say that about any movie ever, but so yeah, and like I said, we think of ourselves as like up to date with films, but to be honest, there's a lot of films we need to see, and I feel like this movie, and more taking a step back, his Paul Thomas Anderson's movies are ones that we should see if we think we know our stuff when it comes to movies. because it's like he's very much acclaimed,
Yeah.
and for me not to see like half of his movies is kind of like bonkers. But it sort of tells you what his demographic is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not blockbusters. It's those movies that are like, they might make you cry, they might make you rethink your life, and they're heavy on the heart.
Mm-hmm.
When I was also thinking about his style, and after watching Boogie Nights like 3 months ago, I was thinking it reminds me a lot of Quentin Tarantino as far as like the amount of characters there are and how they all are connected. But I think the one key difference between him and Tarantino is like that Tarantino is very stylized and very his characters are sort of like outrageous,
Caricatures.
kinda, but they're more flamboyant in almost every way. I don't want to call them caricatures because that feels like negative, but you could say that too. Like, if it's a bad guy, he's gonna be evil.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the characters that I've seen so far in P.T. Anderson's movies are sort of relatable. You've met one of these people in your life before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see how like similar they are, but different in the way of like how they represent their characters. And then he also does, of course, like a lot of music in his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Long shots where the camera just follows. It's like a long take, 5 minutes of like a camera moving throughout a scene and just one continuous take, which is pretty cool. And a lot of like camera movement at times. And I sort of, I don't know what really makes his movies like,
His.
I want to say his, but yeah, I guess you could say his, yeah. Because I haven't seen them all. So maybe after some time, I'll have a better idea. After watching this, it did feel similar, but yet different to Boogie Nights. And definitely different than Punch Drunk Love. So I think he's good at doing a lot of different things. Telling a lot of different types of stories.
Right.
Right after this short break, we're going to talk more about P.T. Anderson, but specifically Magnolia. Let's do it. All right. Going into the movie, Ivan, Magnolia. Sorry, let me take a step back. Is this the first time you saw Magnolia?
No.
When did you watch it?
Probably like a year or something ago.
And what drove you to watch this monstrosity?
It's one of those movies where, like you said, you got to watch it. If you call yourself a cinephile.
A film snob?
Yes.
And were you aware of what the movie was about in any way?
No.
So going into it the first time, you didn't know what the hell it was about.
Pretty blind.
But you knew some big hitters were in the movie, right?
Just Tom Cruise. I remember I thought it was like some Shakespearean play because the advertisements showed Tom Cruise with like long hair and then dark background, and he has like a frilly coat.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it was like some Shakespeare sort of play.
Ah.
Like different timeline. But when I watched this, like this is way different than what I expected.
Gotcha. Yeah. The first time I watched it again was this last week. And I've been meaning to watch it, but it's such an epic film, and I haven't found the time where I can fit 3 hours in my life without a good excuse. And this was a good excuse. Because it's like we watch a movie every week, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I only have time for like 2 movies in my life every week, you know?
Yeah.
So fitting a 3-hour movie in is pretty hard. So going into it, I was expecting just a big, beefy movie, but I didn't know what it was going to be about. I had no idea. I knew we had some big hitters. I knew it was an ensemble cast, but I had no idea what the story was about. Did you watch it again this past week?
Yeah.
And what'd you think? Wait, where'd you watch it?
AMC La Jolla.
Oh man,
Am I
private screening.
a little bit? Probably could do that, huh?
Yeah, you
But
can.
it costs like $500.
Not bad. Invite 5 friends that want to watch it.
$100.
Charge them $100 each.
I saw it at home.
Nice, me too. I saw it on my couch, like laying down for 3 hours. I was like, all right,
Just slumped up.
taking this movie 3 hours in. All right. And as you were watching it, what'd you think?
I was just picking up more things that I missed from the
Mhm.
first time. Like a lot of plot lines. Like in my head, it made a lot more sense this watch. Like I could see where everything's connected. But I remember when I watched it, I was like half lost for most of it.
Uh-huh.
But this time I'm like, I got it.
Yeah. Sort of felt the same way as far as Lost. I knew that the characters were gonna come in quicker and quicker as the story went through, but I would say like the first 45 minutes I was kind of confused,
Yeah.
but it started to resemble a story in my head. Like I started forming the timeline, and it wasn't until the movie finished that I realized like certain things, like, or more than halfway through I realized certain characters were certain characters before, you know, like oh, that's who he was, or
Yeah.
that's what that meant. And yeah, but I was sort of surprised as to like, cause I just seeing the movie being 3 hours long, you would expect it's like an epic tale, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as I was watching it, I was like, oh, this doesn't have as big of a stakes as you would expect it to, you know?
It's kind of like that one movie we watched with Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, that one girl that I'm too
21
sexist.
grams.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's very similar to that.
Yes.
But I think this does it better, and it's more like this was more entertaining to watch. That one was a little like I don't want to say unrealistic, but like when Sean Penn went kind of crazy, I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that part. Yeah, that movie was very, very dark.
Yeah.
And this movie, though dark at times, it has like melancholy. Like you still felt like some kind of like redemption,
Yeah.
redeeming quality to it.
It had a happy ending, like
Yeah, generally.
more
yeah.
than this or 21 grams.
Right. And yeah, so like the stakes weren't that high, but even though they weren't high, they kind of felt high.
For each person,
Yeah.
it was like their most important moment of their life. But like,
Correct.
because we don't know any of these people, they're not relatives to us. It's like we're just watching it. But each
Yes.
character, it's like this is like the tipping point of everything that they've been like raised up to.
Yep. Yeah, and the characters, like, there's an ensemble cast of more than 10 people here with, like, I would say, like, 3 main people, then 3 mid-level people, then 3, like, minor people,
Mm-hmm.
roughly. But they're all sort of treated equally, you know?
Yeah.
Whether it's Stanley, who's just, like, a really smart kid trying to win a game show, or
Mhm.
it's Tom Cruise, who's obviously a megastar in real life, but he's given the same amount of screen time as Stanley, just a
Mhm.
kid from, I don't know, LA or whatever. Did you, as you were watching it, did you feel like particularly interested in certain plot lines? Where you're like, oh, I can do without this part. Let me see more of this.
I mean, by the end, I was okay with all of them.
Uh-huh.
But John C. Reilly's stuff with the coked out girl,
Uh-huh.
I didn't care too much. But it was also connected to the game host.
Right.
And I didn't like that. Not that I didn't like it, but that kid was kind of annoying. Not because like he was an annoying
Stanley
kid.
Spector.
Yeah. It was just annoying. It was uncomfortable to see what he was going through.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm a little over it. But by the end, I was like, yeah, go kid. He did it.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, even though everyone gets equal billing, I would say the characters that are less interesting to me are Julianne Moore's character, Linda Partridge.
Mm-hmm.
A reason because she just feels
Hysterical.
yeah, she's hysterical. You can't really you sort of know where she's going. She's going down, you know?
Yeah.
Any which way. And it was good to see her sort of like redeem herself by the end of just like trying to kill herself.
Jeez.
But and not to say like she deserves to die, but she knows she did something bad and she's trying to build up like equity in that sense. And I'm like, okay, I like that way. Philip Seymour Hoffman's role. I was disappointed that he wasn't more like showy in his performance, but he was just like a character who was sort of like making other characters connected to each other.
I think he's like the normal guy.
Yes, he is.
And he was just like he was a well-adjusted dude.
Yeah.
In between it all.
Yeah. And unfortunately for me, I'm like, oh, I want to see Hoffman go crazy. But it's fine because he does his performance justice. The people who are sort of like mid-level who I'm kind of interested but kind of not are William H. Macy's character. He plays the former quiz kid Donnie Smith.
It's a quiz kid.
Quiz kid. He's sort of confusing as to like
what its point is.
Yeah. Like why is he doing the things he does? But I think that's a point in itself because he sort of doesn't know.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to show like what happens to that one kid when he grows up. It's gonna be this messed up adult.
Yeah.
And he has his own issues that he has to work through.
Yeah. Who else? Characters that totally work for me.
Tommy.
I mean, he's
Tommy
such
C.
It's so hard with Tom.
He's amazing in this.
Tom Cruise plays Frank Mackey in this film. He's basically like a sex seminar teacher. Sex guru.
Yeah.
And he just commits 100%.
I don't think anyone else could have played this as well as him.
Yeah.
Because Tom, he knows how to tap into his own crazy.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's weird, but it's good.
So good. And to the point of like tapping into like his own crazy, people are, it has been said that this character comes from a couple aspects of his own life. One is like this idea that the character Frank Mackey, even though he is this kind of like guru on women, he actually doesn't really know women that well. Like if you were to take a step back and learn more about Mackey, and some people think the same about Tom Cruise. There's rumor mill section. Splice that in, producer.
That's you.
Oh yeah. Rumor mill section is that there are some faint whispers of his sexuality, and that's interesting, given that his enrollment with Scientology, and sort of like just the whole mystique of who Tom Cruise is, because of he does have kind of like a mysterious side to him that no one knows who the hell he really is.
Right.
There's another aspect about the character, and more specifically, it's the aspect that his the way he gets along with his father. And Tom Cruise in real life only met his father twice. He saw him on his deathbed, and there's inklings that he got sort of the spirit from his own experience, but he's never confirmed or denied that.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to see, like, to even think that, like, is Tom Cruise the way he is because of, like, who his father was or wasn't, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess you could say the same thing about Frank Mackey in this role.
Okay.
But man, it's just, and it, like I said, this movie's billed as an ensemble cast, but when you have the guy who runs the show
Mm-hmm.
in Hollywood, he's gonna attract all the energy.
Yeah.
And even if he didn't, his performance does. Like, he's the most bombastic character, and I think the movie makes, like, at least for me, every time he was on the screen, that's when I was the most intrigued into the story. And that's whose story I wanted to go back to.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's the main character. Because really everything is stemming. Maybe not the kid. Well, I'm trying to see how everything connects, but the father-son relationship, and then the father had the stepmother, so that's there. And then the nurse. What else is there? Like, how does that connect to John C. Reilly?
The murder, okay, John C. Reilly's character
Mm-hmm.
is connected to the daughter of Gator.
Yeah.
And they're sort of their own sort of, like, they're not touching the other side of the story, which is Tom Cruise,
Right.
the nurse, and Tom Cruise's father.
Okay.
I don't think there's a connection there, is there? And Julianne Moore's character, right? Those
Uh-huh.
four are sort
Oh,
of,
there is one.
what is it?
The little black kid with John C. Reilly.
Uh-huh.
He saves her
yeah.
life. So I think that's the back door. I think.
Right, because can you, I don't know if you can, but can you sort of explain sort of like the intro to this movie as far as like what the director's trying to say?
You mean the suicide jump from
Yes.
the building?
That and like the happenstance of like the guy getting robbed in the 1900s and the names of the robbers being and killers being the same name as the guy who owned the store, blah, blah, blah.
I think it's just showing how we may not see it, but there's a ton of coincidences that go into everything.
Uh-huh.
Like, probably when I drove here, if I cut someone off like that, he got a little mad, brought it home to whoever, and then that would be there. Then I have like whatever, and then maybe that person who he took it out on goes driving, and like when I go home, he cuts me off, and like,
Right.
like there's just so many connections, coincidences
Yep.
that we don't see.
So it's almost like how our lives are always connected, even though we kind of feel not connected at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all connected in a weird way in this tangled web we weave. Like that.
We weave.
I needed to enunciate like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying to think about like the main theme of this movie. And there's also like the obvious weird ending with the frogs,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's like part of the main theme. Do you have a take on what the theme of this movie is?
Coincidences, or I think just the interconnectedness of people.
So do you think the frogs falling from the sky and Exodus 8:2 from the Bible, do you know what I'm talking about? You didn't see that part? So throughout the film, there's many references to Exodus 8:2.
Mm-hmm.
That's depicted in many ways. The first way I saw it is when the guy who jumped off the building to kill himself, right before he jumped off, if you looked on the corner of the wall where he hopped onto, there was rope, and roped written 8:2.
But what's Exodus 8:2?
I looked into it, and it was basically I think something that Moses was saying, that like you have to free these people, or if you don't free them, I might be completely wrong with the Moses part. If you don't free them, I'm gonna send frogs, and your streets will be filled with frogs, stuff like that. And I was reading more about it, and they were saying, regards to this movie, they were saying that the freedom aspect, like who are you trying to free in this movie?
From yourself.
That could be one thing, yeah. The other thing they were saying is like, specifically 8:2 was talking about, Exodus 8:2 was talking about the sons of Egypt or something like that, like freeing the sons of Egypt.
Okay.
And there's a lot of in this movie, there's a lot of fathers who hold their sons and daughters down.
Right.
Tom Cruise's character was the son of the guy who was neglecting his son.
Right.
Gator,
Daughter.
might or might have not, which was confusing to me.
I think he did, but he was too.
Sexually abused his daughter.
Yeah, he just didn't want to say it. Like, that's like, even though he's dying, like, he just can't get himself to say he did it.
Right.
If you say, like, maybe, then, like, come on.
I know.
Like, you would know, unless you're, like, drunk out of your mind and coked out and all that. But still, that's not really an excuse.
Yeah. So there's that, like, that aspect of the movie with Exodus 8:2 and letting your sons be free. But yeah, I guess you can say those two things of like how parents sort of harm their kids. Oh yeah, Stanley and his dad, you know?
Yeah.
Stanley being used by his dad as like a way to get money. So that and the fact that everyone's lives are connected. I think so when I was reading about this movie, and one of the main reasons he wanted to make this movie was because he was allowed to make it. Like after Boogie Nights, they're like, you can do anything you want.
Oh.
You have final edit.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And he went crazy. And he made this big sprawling movie. Hence why you get Punch Drunk Love immediately after.
It's like, all right, you can't do anything you want.
No, like he told himself, like, I don't want to make a crazy movie like that. I need to make a really simple movie. Because that one almost blew my brains out.
Yeah. I imagine.
Yeah.
Like all the editing you'd have to do.
Oh, man.
Because like the actors, half of them don't even meet each other. More than half.
Right.
So you'd have to know when to splice when and put where. And in 3 hours, like how many times has he watched this 3-hour movie?
Oh, God. That's the hard part. That's the thing like people don't consider is like you want to make a 2-hour movie, but then you have to edit a 2-hour movie. That means rewatching it multiple times.
Yeah.
You might be so sick of it by the end of that.
Yeah.
But to the point of like editing and stuff, I do feel like this movie flows well. Because like they cut from character to character, and they sort of build up. So like they build up to a head of one character, and then they change to a different character, and again build up, change. So it keeps you like interested, and then that's the rhythm you get throughout the movie. Like keep changing and changing and changing. Let's take a quick break, and we'll talk more about this movie. This movie's kind of artsy, but not too. It's like
at times.
It has hints of like artsiness, and what I mean by that, it does like some experimental stuff. The one thing that was first like that was obviously artsy was like when they all started singing.
I think he finds a good middle ground between artsy and mainstream. Because I don't want an artsy where it's like a dove 30 meters that way, and like you know what that means, right? Like I don't care about that. I want like the frogs or the singing together, like in your face, but you also have to think about it still. Yeah.
So the singing part where the whole crew in their respective scene, they start singing along to a specific song. I forgot what song it was.
Yeah.
That was unusual and a weird break, but I was like, oh, at least it's kind of different from other movies. And then obviously the ending with the frogs falling from the sky, where it just brings in like magical realism to the movie. And that was kind of like, what the hell is going on here? Like it went from a real story to like made up, like fictionalized.
Doesn't that happen though? The frogs
falling from the sky?
Yeah, I think I've heard.
There's no way that can happen.
I've heard, like, I know something has, I think fish for sure, where they've fallen from the sky.
We'll look it up after this, people.
I'm 100% certain, like something animalistic has fell from the sky.
But that would be just explained with like
science.
Oh, like you're saying like a thunderstorm.
Yeah. I don't think it would ever be like that was like millions and millions of frogs.
Yeah.
I don't think that many exist in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm like 100% certain it was like fish or something.
Interesting. That'd be so creepy.
Yeah. But if
And-
you know how it works, it's not too creepy.
Even so, like, you can be a science guy and you're like, the chances of that happening is
I've been
very
like,
little.
Cool. Awesome. Keep some frogs for home.
So, this movie, Ivan, what'd you like think about it as a whole?
It was good. It was like a 5-course meal
Oh yeah,
filled to the brim. That was good.
yeah, yeah. And the critics thought so too. They said that it was a great movie, different. Anderson says now that like if he could, he would take off 30 minutes or something. But I like these kind of movies. Something different. 3-hour epic. Let's do it.
Yep.
It's not even an epic. It's a drama about regular people.
Yep.
Let's get into the best scene. Actually, before that, rewatchability ranking: medium, high, or low. Not in that order, obviously.
So low would be the middle. I'd say medium 0.5.
Okay. Oh wow. So a 3-hour movie is pretty high on your rewatchability scale.
Yeah.
And why is that?
I just like movies with like really strong, good messages like this, where like you could really pull from it and then put it in your own life.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And like you could watch those anytime. Like if you're ever down, like let me just watch Magnolia, and it'll put things in perspective.
Yeah, that's true. I would give this a low rewatchability, just because of the length of it.
Right.
It's hard to like. It was even hard for me to watch the film. Like it took me years to finally watch it.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying to get into it. It's like, oh, here we go.
but what if someone's like, I've never watched it. Do you want to watch with me? And it's like a good friend.
Yeah,
You would?
yeah,
That's what I meant though.
yeah. That's a good scale too. Do you want? Can I change it to medium?
No.
Okay. Best scene of the movie, Ivan. Let me rattle off some.
Oh, okay.
I love the scene where Earl Partridge is talking to Phil. Earl Partridge is the father of Frank Mackey.
What?
And he's on his deathbed, basically.
Yep.
And he's kind of hallucinating off of his meds and just talking about his life, things he regrets, things that he's done. And it's very impactful. It's such a heart-wrenching scene where raw. It's like a guy on his deathbed and he's saying basically, I have regrets and they're killing me inside.
Yeah.
More so than this cancer is.
Yeah.
And that's deep. And the way it's performed, I think the guy that plays his
I think
dad,
he was like actually dying because he died at then. I'm sure.
he was so good at like portraying this guy that's just passing away. You know,
Yeah.
it felt so real. And then Philip Seymour Hoffman just like listening. You know,
like intently.
yeah,
That's an actor.
I know. Like, yeah, I'm complaining about him not being more part of the story, but he is part of the story in a big way just by being sort of like the audience.
Yeah. I think it is I would imagine it's difficult to act like that, where it's like super subtle. Like you have to act as if you're listening and you're feeling what he's saying.
Yep.
Because he did cry at times and he looked like moved by it.
Yeah.
And I think that's like an underrated, or like it's a harder thing to do than what he's making it look like.
Right. Like maybe that's a lot harder than being a sex guru.
Yeah.
That Tom Cruise is doing.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a good take. I like the scene where Stanley, the kid who's been used by his father to make money off this game show, I like when he stands up to the gator and he's
that was like the one point I was like, this kid would never say that. But like he's also really smart, so he probably like is a little mature for his age too. So that's like the pass I give it. But it was a little like creepy.
Yeah. He did feel like he was gonna use some kind of like telekinesis
like
to kill
Joker. He looks like the dude from Joker too, the game show host, and Robert De
him.
Niro.
Oh yeah, Robert De Niro and him.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro has aged as well as Gator.
Yeah.
Mackie, when he gets in, I mean, any scene with Mackie, honestly, but when he's getting interviewed
Yeah.
by the reporter and she's asking questions like who he is and what drives him, it's just such a good performance between both of them and incredibly written, showing like how deep his scars are.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really have to dig in deep and, oh man. And him just like when he first meets her and he's just like undressing in front of her.
Yeah.
Acting like a sicko, like, yeah, all it takes is one look, baby.
Yeah.
And I get these girls right where I want them. It's like, man, he wouldn't survive in 2020. What about you? Favorite scene?
I would say when either the regret speech from the dad, or when Frank sees the interviews getting a little too personal, he just shuts off. Because like at that point, Tom was like I was scared for her. Like I knew he wasn't gonna do anything because I watched it already, but he was like he had like a death look into his eye.
Yeah.
It's like this dude could kill her right now.
Yeah. He was scary, man.
And just acting.
He also told the dogs like, if they bite me, I'll drop kick all of them.
That was like funny.
Like he said that multiple times. Like,
Yeah.
why drop kick?
He was just like not into it at all. Like dogs are a little too like
Personal. They're too cute.
Yeah, and
Too much love.
Like too random. Like I don't think he would have been down like seeing his dead dad and then like a dog just coming up to him.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm gonna drop kick it
If it comes near me. What about Mackie saying goodbye to his father?
That was good. It was cool because it wasn't too like, but there's so much I have to say to you, Dad. I have to do this. I forgive you. Like it was just all acting in the face and eyes, and like you could just see like what he's thinking, not like exactly, but just from pure face acting. Like that's all you really needed.
Yeah.
That's how it's how it would be in real life. You wouldn't be like, there's so much.
Right.
And I like throughout the movie they reference movies too, like Philip Seymour Hoffman's like, this is the part of the movie where you help me.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, what the?
Yeah.
It was a little like, ugh.
Meta.
Yeah. But like he was saying, like it's corny that this happens, but this is actually happening.
Right.
And it's like loops your head into like what's real.
Yeah. Movies are cool when they do that.
Yep.
All right. Time for your favorite part. Let's rate this movie, Ivan. 1 out of 5 tickets. What would it be for this for you? Ticket system.
Well,
What ticket system are you swapping out for?
there's not really a physical. Maybe a gun.
Bad.
Cancer. Fathers.
Bad. Fathers. Yeah.
Father
do
figures?
Fathers. How many father figures out of 5 father figures is this?
I give it 4.25 father figures.
Nice. That must be the highest ranking so far for Ivan's.
So far.
Out of the 5 ranking system.
It's not a recent movie.
Thank God. I was expecting you to go that high. I was like, he can't go lower than 4. That doesn't make sense anymore.
No.
So 4.25 just because it's good and it's the type of movie you like.
Yeah. I'd say it would be a little more heavy for what I like. But it is the type of movie I like because it has like that message. But it's too heavy in general.
Yeah.
It's like Schindler's List, even though
that's actually the movie that I need to watch. That, you know, like,
you should have said that. That
Yeah.
would have been perfect, and you would have looked like a racist or something. It would have been funny.
yeah. They're like, why do you like Schindler's List? You know,
I don't like fiction.
doesn't sit well with me. You know, fiction. Ready for my rating?
Yeah.
What do you think I'm gonna give it?
5 or 6.
No. 4.
What the? You're weird.
4 out of 5.
So this was as good as.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, I have to do
No,
that.
I don't. Don't do that.
You do that to me all the time.
Ah, damn it.
What'd you give Dune? 4?
4.5.
You sick man. Jesus.
Yeah, my ranking system sucks, huh? I just, I think seeing a movie in theaters is highly
Influential.
influential. And when you see a movie, I saw this movie in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Think if I saw it at night, like at 7 with the lights off and all that, transport me better. But that's not why this movie is a 4 and not like higher. I think this movie's a 4 just because I think it could have done the same with less screen time
Mm-hmm.
and maybe with like a character or two cut out. A little bit more focused. But that's not to say I would want that. I like how he made this ambitious film that is a film about regular people who are hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it.
Hmm.
And that's it for Magnolia and this section of the podcast. We're going to take a short break and we're going to talk about culture, life,
Things,
and such.
perhaps.
We'll be right back. Ivan, it's time for a section we'd like to call
Things and such.
Let's start off with some sad news. Let's start sad and work our way up.
Sad and then glad.
Yeah. Shout out to that. Sad news of the week. Rest in peace, Young Dolph. A Memphis rapper who passed away after being shot today.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of his music.
Ah, come on.
What? Are you?
What? I mean, I always liked his features on like his features,
Yeah.
but I was never a big fan. Like he's good, but it's also like another artist that isn't too like groundbreaking, doing anything crazy, just doing good at what he was doing already. Like
Yes.
that's already been done,
Yes.
which isn't bad exactly, but it's not a reason for me to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of his, but I do like some of his songs and, like you said, some of his features.
Mhm.
Notably his album with Key Glock. But yeah, it's sad news, man. Like, kind of weird that people are still dying in this rap game. You know what I mean?
Like get with the times. Like, how are you still killing? But it just seems like so out of place for modern rap, where it's
Key Glock, yes.
not really, it's not even gang stuff anymore in rap. It's like Cardi or Kanye or Drake. And I know there's still gangs around, but it just seems so dated.
Yeah, I think that's like, that's the thing with being sort of, I think that's on our side. When I say that, I mean like,
We don't see.
yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy how isolated we are to a lot of things.
Mhm.
But a lot of people are in the streets, to put it bluntly, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of rappers who we think are good, but they're, for lack of a better term, bad. Or they're in a situation where they don't want to be in, you know? But we have no idea because we just see, like, the fancy side of it.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I feel the same way. Like, wow, people are still dying out here. Okay, I guess that is still a problem, especially like when you're at that level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So rest in peace to Young Dolph. I'll probably listen to like one of his better albums this week. So send some money through royalties. Speaking of royalties, quick segue. Hopping over to Tidal. You know why?
Don't care.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Actually, I want to say why
I
it
know.
matters. Why?
No, I know you want. That's why.
Oh.
You want to say why?
Number one,
Hi-fi.
I looked into hi-fi,
Oh God.
and it works.
Yeah.
Like, it is a thing.
Yeah.
And it even works on, like, my stupid Apple Buds. Not even, like, the AirPods. Like the janky ones that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I listened to Hurricane on Spotify and then on Tidal, and the bass and the sound is a little better.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's, like, obviously better unless, like, you're really paying attention.
Yeah.
Point 2. Jay-Z.
Didn't he sell it?
No. He
Yeah.
sold a steak.
It's like selling out, in my opinion.
The fact that you have one of the pioneers of hip-hop, one of the greatest rappers alive, part of your company, I think it's the same reason why I bought Bamboo, Lil Wayne's rum liquor, after realizing.
You watch Mad Men and then you still fall to this advertising?
Yes. But it's like, you gave me something, I need to give you something back. Like, I need to do something because, like, you matter to me in a way.
Okay.
And that's me showing that. Like, give them some respect. Like, they're trying to do something out here.
Buy their merch.
But I don't like wearing.
Buy it, burn it.
Like, I hate the merch that's like a rapper, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like, what's his name that passed away?
Young Dolph.
No, the kid.
X.
Juice World.
Oh.
Like, the kids that wear Juice World, I'm like, that's sort of corny.
Yeah.
But I think that's me being old.
Yeah. Like, would you wear a Freddie Gibbs shirt?
I wouldn't wear a shirt saying a rapper's name, but I would wear, like, a concept.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'll wear Alfredo,
Yeah, yeah.
but I wouldn't wear Freddie Gibbs. I would wear what's it called, Certified Lover Boy, but I wouldn't wear Drake.
What about a Juice World? But no Juice World, just a concept.
What's Juice World?
You just said.
But why Juice World is not a concept, it's a rapper.
Yeah, but you said the rapper shirt. You wouldn't wear that. What if it's like something on his album? Like they have like a PlayStation 2 cover.
Maybe.
Shut up.
But it's a good question. Keeping with the sad news, we didn't talk about this last week. Travis Scott, Astroworld, your boy.
That's not my boy.
What'd you do?
He wasn't my boy for a while.
Oh, now you're backpedaling, aren't you?
Come on.
Well, we already know what's happening. Astroworld, a lot of people passed away, unfortunately. A lot of people got injured. I think the crazy thing that's going to happen from this is that Travis is going to go away for quite some time.
Yeah, like
this is going to affect his life big time.
more than he expected. I think it's time he got humbled like this, because he's been not good to people for a while. Like, not even merch, but he's been like making this sort of what's the word?
Aggro.
Yeah, this angry sort of vibe when you go to his concerts where like rules don't matter.
Mosh
And, like,
pit.
Yeah.
Punk. Heavy metal.
Yeah. But even like, I don't know how it was back then, but I'll just talk about Travis. But he's doing like these no rules things, but it's going too far where it's like, there's videos of him, not from this one, but past concerts where he's like, go past security. He says that. Like, he tells security, let them in. And then like people just like raid the stage or whatever. And like, that's the point where rules are there. Like, why you have rules for like safety.
Yeah.
And if you're making this, I keep going to vibe, but there's a better word, but
An atmosphere of
Yes.
like being crazy.
Yeah. And it just gets worse and worse until we get to this. And it's
Yeah.
like the culmination of everything he's been preaching. No rules, do whatever you want, jump everywhere.
Yeah, I think so. point A of him not being a good person. I have to fight against that, just from like outsider's perspective, seeing what he's tried to do with the community. Because like before the Astro World Fest or whatever it was, he was trying to do some community stuff where he was like helping like a kids club or something. I forgot exactly what it was. So it does seem like he's trying to give back to his community in some way. But yes, you are right about him promoting this atmosphere of sort of like rebellious nature, especially at concerts that basically is like F everything, you know. But that is why he got that big, you know. And it's like when you start somewhere, I guess like he started from this like punk mentality of like, we have to go crazy. We're here to like mosh. We're here to rage, quote unquote rage, you know.
Yeah.
But as you grow and you have a legion of followers and a legion of fans, maybe that's not the best thing to do. And maybe
You got to temper it.
yeah, he is like, what is an MC, Ivan?
What do you mean? Like someone who just, it's not like kind of a DJ?
Close.
DJ who raps?
I'm showing my hip hop knowledge right here and my age as well. MC, as we know it, it's what rappers get called, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm an MC. What is an MC? It's a master of ceremonies.
Okay.
It's a person who controls the crowd, who rocks the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
who delegates, not delegates, but controls the crowd.
Right.
As an MC, that's what you need to do. You need to control the crowd.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something he can improve on,
Mm-hmm.
especially after what happened. But unfortunately, it took this because he's going to get better. Obviously, he's going to come out with like a song and...
But like, how do you even make an album after this? Because I know his next album, like, you would have to change his style a bit.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, because I think it's safe to assume he has like at least half of his current album done, right?
Probably.
And that album, we have no idea what it's going to talk about, but thinking of like who Travis Scott is, it's probably going to talk about the same kind of stuff that he's been talking about,
Yep.
which is this rage mode, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if like, does he try to release this album? Does he try to pivot? Does he scrap the album? Does he just try to do the exact same thing and say, you know what? Because what's going to happen is he's going to lose a lot of partnerships now.
Yeah.
He's going to lose a lot of money. A lot
I
of
saw
money.
like a $750 million lawsuit in the news
Yeah.
towards him and like Drake and Astroworld and all that.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely like all the McDonald's money he made, for sure.
For me, it's hard for me to say like he deserves this though. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I just think that if what happened is obviously wasn't planned, and him and the organizers of the event have a fault for this,
Yeah.
but it's a combined fault. It's not his fault, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's very messy.
Yeah. Not my problem.
You know what is your problem?
Hmm.
Drake and Kanye. 'Cause they're back, baby. The two powers have united again.
Indeed.
It makes me think, was it all a
For
gimmick?
Show. No, it wasn't.
It was real?
Yeah.
It wasn't for play?
No.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. But it's crazy how like they're all buddy. So for those of you who don't know, Kanye and Drake, they were beefing
Mm-hmm.
after Kanye went on Drink Champs and basically said we need to make peace again. They
Mhm.
have made peace. Seems like peace was made to free Larry Hoover, so who I don't even know why they're trying to free. I don't know enough, blah, blah, blah. But they're united, and they posted some photos on the gram being friends. Ivan, what's going to stem from this?
Hopefully some collaborative albums. But shut up. Realistically, I don't think much. Maybe like a song or two.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll
I
take a
think
song.
Drake's like, I'm just gonna be friends with him, and we're gonna be buddy buddy, and he could do whatever. But it's probably easy for him just to have this friendship instead of trying to beef, and then just like if Kanye does something weird, like whatever. Like that's how he should be with Kanye. And then when he sees Kanye, he's like, my best buddy, that's Kanye. It's kind of fake, but like that's the safest route for him. Anything else is like you're not gonna win.
Yeah. I agree that he should be like that, but I don't agree that anything else he's going to lose.
What else? Be actual friends? I think Kanye's too volatile.
No, I mean like if he just decides to not be friends, I think that's
Enemies?
I think that's also beneficial to Drake too, as far as like hype
I don't think
and attention.
maybe just attention, but I don't think Drake can make something better than Kanye. Like that's what it boils down to. Like who would make the better one-on-one song if they're like there's a diss and a diss? I don't think Kanye would make it, but I think Kanye would do something better than whatever Drake would do.
No. Drake will always make a better diss song than Kanye. That's a fact.
Then just like straight up art, like
Then yes, if we're talking about album for album, that's debatable. Because I honestly think CLB is better than Donda.
Okay.
That's obviously whatever, but I do think Kanye has a better chance of making better stuff than Drake
Yeah.
in the long run. But yeah, I was happy to see this.
Mm-hmm.
It livened up my day. It was interesting. In a recent interview, sorry, not in a recent interview. In a recent Joe Rogan podcast, Snoop Dogg came on, and I love when this happens. Like it's one of my favorite things when like a guy that I sort of like forget about comes back, and I listen to like an interview, and it makes me want to listen to their music again.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped back into some of Snoop Dogg's old albums, and it's like, oh man, he used to be like one of my favorite rappers when I first got into hip hop,
Right.
and I like that. He was so funny on the podcast. He's such a cool guy. Did you hear anything about it? He has like this like easygoing nature and loving way about him that makes you sort of like, man, who would hate Snoop Dogg? Like
I do.
and
I do.
he does like what I don't like about him as of late is like he's very commercialized
Yeah.
as far as like he lends his name to a lot of things. But now that like just listening to an interview, he just sounds like a guy that's like trying to make a lot of money, but also a guy who's like, I'm like cool. I'm like your uncle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was interesting. Would you ever listen to a Snoop Dogg album?
Sure, but I'd be okay if I never did.
Hip hop, man, you gotta love it. Succession. What is that?
I don't know.
Did you watch the latest episode of Succession, Ivan?
Of course I did.
What'd you think about it?
It was good, but it's scary now because everything's falling apart.
I think you said that the past couple times. Like,
But this is
I'm
like
getting no, you've said this. You're like, now it's getting. Oh, nah.
okay, true. But this is like even another level on top.
Yeah.
But that's how good the show is, where you can say like it feels like it's falling apart, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Because like, man, when they rolled out Sandy and he was just like decrepit, I was like, what's these two old men are fighting and they're not even sentient.
Yeah.
And then like the daughter's like probably just making up what he's saying and actually in control.
Yeah.
And then Shiv's like doing the same thing. And they're all like scared to act at all because like the second he's out of commission, they're all super scared and they're just falling apart.
Yeah. This was like one of the most action-packed episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So much going back and forth. Sandy coming back. The one thing that does feel weird about the show is like how they sort of forgot about how legitimate of a threat Sandy was.
Mm-hmm.
And then now like they're finally revisiting it. And now like he doesn't even want to try to take over the company, Sandy and his group. Like they're trying to like find a middle ground, which was odd. Like I thought they were really trying to take over this company.
I think the dad did, and then once he's like literally a vegetable, like the daughter's like, let's just find a middle ground and be done with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so much good stuff. One of the things that like I love when they went to go meet Sandy and Sandy, and Roman was just like holding his tongue
Yeah.
in the back, like trying not to make fun of the guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, because you know, like they know that that he could say whatever he wants,
Yeah.
or he wants to say whatever he wants,
Yeah.
but he's just holding it back. It's like that little play on expectations, you know. And I do like the scene where Greg is talking to his grandpa, and his grandpa's like doing the same thing that he always does, and like being complicated of how he says things.
Yeah.
And then Greg's like, "What are you trying to say to me?" And then he finally lays it simply to him, like for the first time ever. And it's like, you have to watch out for yourself, basically. Yeah. I love that.
Scary stuff.
Do you watch like the sneak peeks?
Sometimes.
Like 30-second sneak peeks?
Like I know there was one at this, and I wasn't paying attention when it went on. I didn't feel like going back, so I was like, I'll just wait.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good, man. Succession is good.
I don't know how they're gonna keep, like, how many more seasons can this last? I know they have another one coming, but even like after this season, I don't see like how they would hold on to the company, or Logan even being alive, or like if he's alive in season like 5, if there's one, I'd be very, very surprised.
He should just go to prison and play like a minimal part.
Oh, like it's kind of like a mafia's thing.
Yeah.
Like we got to visit Logan, see what he says. Yeah.
He's like the real Larry Hoover. I might get shot for saying that, but.
Wow. That was racist.
Good times, Ivan. Anything else you've been watching, listening? Any news that you want to report back to me?
I saw The French Dispatch.
Oh, you dirty dog. How'd you watch that?
The theaters.
Nice. How was it?
4 out of 5.
You mother.
You would love it too.
Oh!
You would love it.
Oh!
You would love it. You would really like it, actually. It's like, I think you would love it.
You're like, that's you, Adrian.
Yeah. It was a good movie, though. Just wait. I don't know if it's cinematic exactly, but I think you should be good. Or watch it. I don't care what you do, but it's good.
Okay, I'll watch it. I like going to theaters, but going to theaters is a lot of work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Especially for a busy man like me.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to watch it. I was listening to so it was like the 15th anniversary of the Blueprint 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'll give it a listen. And then there's a song called The Watcher 2, Part 2 or whatever. And it's basically it's the second part of The Watcher, which was on The Chronic.
Okay.
Chronic 2001.
Okay.
Which was Dre's follow-up album to The Chronic. And listening to that song was like, kind of like reminded me of a couple of things. When you listen to that, the production is so crazy. Like, it's so spare, but it sounds so beautiful.
Like everything's placed with purpose.
Yeah. The bass is like perfect. The sounds are perfect. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, there's no music like this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's what makes Dre like the king of his thing. It's like the sounds that he's able to. I think he's just like a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I think that's just like gone in a lot of modern rap, where it's, I think the basic formula is get that beat and rap over it, but nobody really, works to put the rap on the beat. Like they just slap it on. Like I would say his work process would be, how does this match the energy of what I'm saying?
Right.
And like it would be like there would be like a synergy
Yeah.
between the two. And I guess like there's still synergy today, but it just, there's no time taken or
Craft.
not enough time taken. What?
The craft.
Yeah. It just like pooped out.
Yeah.
And then that's where you get like I was going to make you mad, but I'll dial it back for my safety. Where you get like
Just say it.
a little baby, I won't say it. A
Yeah.
little baby who he's good, but he just gets the beat and then raps over it.
Yeah.
And then you get those little gems, like maybe 2 or 3 gems in the album that are like, wow.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like luck in a way. But the rest are just like basic good,
Yeah.
nothing special.
Yeah.
They don't work on it anymore.
Yeah. And I was like, I went through Future's discography and I found the mixtape that I used to listen to. It's like, oh, they have this mixtape on Tidal. I downloaded it. I played it while I was working out, and the sound quality was so bad. But it's because it's a mixtape. Like they didn't really mix it that well. They're just like, oh, let's make it. I'm like, wow, the difference between this and that song that I listened to is just like worlds apart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you said, the ability to do both has its advantages and disadvantages. Like without being able to make things quickly, you can't innovate as quickly, you know? It like what Kanye said. I don't know if you heard this, but on the Drink Champs podcast or whatever interview, he's like, Future's the most influential rapper of the past 15 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you. Finally someone says it. But it goes back to like, there's no one influential person because like, you wouldn't have a Future if it wasn't for Lil Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Lil Wayne's ability to do those kind of things gave Future the ability to do his kind of
Right.
thing. But yeah. Shout out to Dr. Dre, man. An amazing, amazing person. Well, maybe not an amazing person, but great songs. Ivan, anything else for the
No.
beautiful people out there?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think that's it for me too. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching Peliculas with the Bros. However you're listening, however you're watching. We'll be back next week with another P.T. Anderson film. Ivan, I'm going to select it right now for the beautiful people. So we just did Magnolia. Oh, God. I'm not going to do Punch Drunk Love. I want to do a movie that I haven't seen.
Okay.
The Master.
I saw half of that.
You're
It was
welcome.
Boring.
Really?
It's just very slow. It's not bad, but it's,
Should I go Inherent Vice?
I don't know how that's gonna be either. I've heard mixed things.
We
But
got the Joker on that. The Joker.
I don't care. I'll watch either way.
Okay, let's do The Master.
Okay.
So we'll do The Master next week, and then we'll conclude with Licorice Pizza the following week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. My name's Adrian.
My name's Ivan.
You can find us on all podcast platforms. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you can find podcasts, we're there. We're on YouTube, Peliculas with the Bros. Peace out.
Bye.